Okay, so thank you guys for all your comments. I've decided to go ahead and start covering the series. Heck, why not? I was a huge fan of Sex and the City. So here is my episode 3 rant for the new chapter called And Just Like That, HBO's new series. Again, this is episode 3, When in Rome. Just FYI, I'm going to be spoiling everything. Super spoiler alert. You might want to change the channel if you're not interested in that. Otherwise, per the great Miranda Hobbs in the terrible Sex and the City 2 movie, we have a lot of Abu Dhabi to do. So let's Abu Dhabi do it. This episode starts off with them doing a little bit better of a podcast. It's a little bit more entertaining. They have a lot of trigger warnings mentioned in Carrie's trigger warning is the city bikes. For me, it's all these fly scooters or bird scooters. And one thing I think was interesting at the very end of the scene, I don't know if you guys caught it, but that Jackie Nee character played by Bobby Lee, he brought in a cat, and I know that they were making some sort of throwaway pussy jokes or something, but it was just really bizarre that he brought this cat without any kind of carrier or leash, and it's just like clawing up on the actors in the background. I found that a little amusing. I'm going to be talking a little bit about fashion. You know, I didn't really address any kind of fashion last week. I think this week it's really all about the handbags, starting with Carrie going to this will reading in like a Dorothy of the Wizard of Oz blue gingham skirt and a matching, like Toto basket without Toto in it. I thought that was interesting. I wasn't sure. Patricia Fields often likes to have little private jokes or messages in her the outfits that she chooses for these characters. Kind of makes me wonder if this time around, something about not being in Kansas anymore to do this will meeting and then subsequent lunch with her friends. So at the reading of the will, it was interesting. This is where we find out that Big gives $1 million. Not that much, it's just like $450,000 after taxes because he doesn't have that information at the ready. It's just a measly mill. I mean, why are you so bugged up, Carrie? Everybody just has $1 million just stored away. Okay. But when Miranda points to the document and says the will and says that it's Natasha Nijinsky, I always thought that Carrie calling her Nijinsky was like a joke. I thought she was playing up the name Natasha to make her sound more exotic and incredible. I didn't realize that was her actual last name, so my bad. And then, of course, after the will reading, we have a nice little lunch. Now, Samantha is replaced with Willie Garson, character Stanford Blatch. Stanny is here, and now looks like he's considering himself one of the core members, and he addresses this with Charlotte. So now Charlotte has to start, booking these tables for 4 again, theoretically. And what's really very tragic about this is, we know that the gentleman who plays Stanford Blatch, Willie Garson, he passed away during the production of this series. And I've heard critics who watched the first 4 episodes, regular people like me, we got the first 2 episodes all at once. I'm just following HBO. But critics actually received the first 4 episodes to review, and I heard a couple of them say that, they wrote off Stanford's character in a real slipshod manner. And I checked IMDb. It shows that Willie Garson is only in this series for 3 episodes. And also, Mario Cantone, who plays his partner, Anthony Marantino, is only in this season, according to IMDb, for 3 episodes. Okay, so I'm actually kind of concerned and a little sad that what's probably going to happen here is we're going to have these nice moments with these little characters, and then like next week we're going to find out that Anthony and Stanford went to London to hang out with Samantha for some reason, or that they're in love or want to work on the relationship, or whatever weird thing that they're gonna have to do. It does break my heart. It's just a real tragedy. You get the sense that the writers had like a long game, like replace Samantha with Stanford and just make it all like kind of this new group. And that can't happen because of actual death. So rest in peace, Willie Garson. I do hope we get to see you at least a little bit in the 4th episode, but after seeing the IMDb, I'm no longer hopeful. I just hope that they give both you and Anthony, Mario Cantone, like some sort of good, satisfying conclusion. At least, Mario Cantone can always come back if they decide to renew the series. I don't know, but I'm glad they gave him at least some sort of final good scene. In the next scene, we see Carrie going out of her mind, running through everything in her and Big's apartment, trying to get clues about who he is. It's just sort of weird. Their relationship makes me feel incredibly close to my husband. As mentioned in my last rant, I was sort of mystified that she didn't know. She had to ask Big, who she's been with forever and been married to, gosh, I think at least a decade, right? If he masturbated. It's kind of a weird question. You'd think you would know by now. Even just accidentally, if you're a real private person. People don't lock the doors all the time, But now she's on his computer, doesn't know his passcode just to enter the computer. And again, this is a couple, I'm assuming, they were stuck together, quarantined together. They mentioned that in the first episode. Through the pandemic, they both work from home, presumably. My husband and I, we were in the same boat. We had to quarantine and social distance, and, I do my writing. He was doing his business, and had to sometimes share computers or swap out to do Zoom calls or whatever. Like, I don't know. Is it me? I mean, doesn't everybody kind of know their spouse's basic passwords to like big ass computers sitting on the desk? I don't know. I found that weird. I thought the most adorable secret that Big has is his little pinkberry addiction. I'm picturing like Chris Noth in a sharp suit, with like a little cup of like pink frozen yogurt and like extra sprinkles or something, like or like gummy worms or something, just chewing in on that. Like, this is my private little secret shame. I'm never gonna tell my wife. I thought that was actually rather sweet. As was the weird pic of the dog in the wallet. I don't know. That could just be something that he found while cleaning up an old desk or something. Who knows? But honestly, of the secrets, I know the Natasha thing was driving Carrie crazy, but I'm kind of curious, why was it Natasha that got 1 million? What about his other ex-wife? Don't we remember, like, Big had 2 ex-wives and he had cheated on both of them? His first marriage broke up because he cheated on her. So I guess Carrie should maybe feel a little glad that she's missing only $1 million and not $2 million? Well, after we see Carrie still rummaging around the house, it cuts to Charlotte having a sweet scene with her daughter, Rose, who this Rose, I'm going to just call her a person from now on. I don't know how Rose is going to identify at the end of this or throughout the series or what have you, because, frankly, transgender journeys aren't always linear, sometimes they go back and forth a bit. But Rose confesses to Charlotte, sometimes I don't feel like a girl. And Charlotte looks her in the eye and tells her the sweetest lie ever. She's like, sometimes I don't feel like a girl. I don't believe that for a moment. I think Charlotte is the girliest girly girl of the planet. Even that one episode where she had to, pretend to be a man, she was just blushing and giggling the whole time. It was never convincing. I feel like, and frankly, that scene where she snuggled up in bed with Rose is like the only time I think I've ever seen Charlotte in casual attire. She always looks like she's going out to some sort of garden party at like a gigantic mansion or something. It's insane. But I love that she looks at her and she's like, oh yeah, sometimes I don't feel like a girl. Like, when, Charlotte, when? I want details. And then the show moves on to the Hobbs residence, and I love that. I've always wanted to know, by the way, while we're here, what is Brady's last name? Okay? Because it's Steve Brady, and he married Miranda Hobbs. And I think she still goes by Miranda Hobbs, but she named her son Brady after Steve's last name. So is the kid going around by like Brady? I mean, or does he go by Brady Hobbs Brady or Brady Hobbs? I've always wanted to know that. I feel like this series deserves to give us, the fans, the answer to that question. But here they are, eating ice cream with chia seeds, which sounds absolutely disgusting to me. I don't know, it's like, I always think of just chia seeds for plants and stuff. But yeah, we find out later, I'm just going to cut to this, but we find out later that they haven't had sex for years. Steve and Miranda haven't had sex for years. Really hella depressing there. I'm starting to be grateful now that at least the teenagers are banging, like some sex is being had at that house. But this is like really kind of, was I the only one like kind of really saddened by that news? I mean, after the Sex and the City movie and the sequel and the cheating, and they got back together and they went to counseling and all that just for ice cream. I mean, that's really kind of heartbreaking. Like, why doesn't she bang Steve? I mean, I'm sure he's up for it. I'm sure if you turned him over and you just let him scream what a couple times because he can't hear what you're saying, but you're a woman, you can handle it. Like, that's just really, that kind of broke my heart learning about that. And then it cuts again to after more Carrie going through big stuff. Anthony has his new business, Hot Fellas, a sourdough company, like a company wherein hot, big, buff guys in tiny little rompers and sneakers come and deliver sourdough bread, or just bread. Doesn't seem to even be like sandwiches. I didn't see a lot of stuff going on in there. I might have to take a second look, but it looked to me like just bread delivery with really beefy guys, and it just makes me think this is a prostitution ring, right? Like, this is just a cover for a prostitution ring, because I'm serious, like, who is really jonesing for sourdough after the quarantine? Like, didn't we all make sourdough starter? Didn't we try to do this? And we were all Anthony last year playing with breads, and now that we've had it, like, we know we can make our own, or we're maybe sick of it. I don't know. Let me know how you feel in the comments, but I was just like, come on, this is not like a business model, is it? But again, he has this sweet conversation with Charlotte about Rose, and it was lovely and touching, and it makes me break my heart if this is the last time we're going to see Anthony as a character on this series. I even without Willie Garson around, I really do hope that Mario Cantone comes back and comes back to this character and we get to see Anthony again. So then after that, we see Carrie and Miranda have a phone conversation where it's very clear that she is just absolutely Natasha obsessed, and she gets her friends to join her in stalking this poor girl at her job, someplace called Mina Minetti's, which I believe is a fictional cashmere company. And as Carrie goes up to wait in the waiting room, Charlotte and Miranda get some snacks at the nearby, coffee shop. And this is my second favorite. This is actually the Christmas present I didn't know I need to have. Again, talking about the bags in this particular show. Miranda hands Charlotte her tobacco leather. I'm a sucker for tobacco leather, but that beautiful backpack filled with Tito bottles. Now, if those Tito bottles were full, oh my gosh, that is like, please Santa, I've been really good this year. I deserve a designer tobacco leather backpack just full of vodka. Which is the total alcoholic's choice on the go, by the way. Nothing is greater. Small bottles, easy to hide, doesn't leave any odor on the breath. Total alcoholic move that Charlotte catches her in, and we get to know the details of their completely depressing and miserable marriage between Steve and Miranda. And then, of course, predictably, Carrie gets stood up by Natasha, because of course she does, who lies and says she's in Rome when everybody just saw her go into the building, and then sees her up in the window, and, you know, while she's kind of waving there already, and Carrie's just like, oh, that's the most humiliating thing I've ever done. I'm like, really? I mean, you got stood up at the altar in front of, like, hundreds of people. Like, that, like, being caught waving or pointing at a window, like, that's the devastating thing. I'm telling you, if my ex-husband gave me $1 million out of the blue after being married to another woman for like 10 years, yeah, I'd kind of expect a phone call too. You know, I would be, oh yeah, she's waving at me. She wants me after the money. Like, I wouldn't be embarrassed. I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be like, that's a totally normal reaction. I get it. But can I just mention, I'm going to go on a little side note about Bridget Moynihan, who plays Natasha Nijinsky. And she just looks stunning. She really hasn't aged that much. She's like a 50-year-old woman. Astonishing. But, you know, I always kind of call it the Moynihan check-in. And it's something that I've joked about with my family and friends for years now. And it's this fact that Bridget Moynihan, that I know her. I know she's been in other series. She's an actress who's done other stuff that I don't watch. I know her for two things. One, Sex and the City, and two, that she dated Tom Brady a couple of years, and it's like from 20. So she dated Tom Brady. They broke up, and then immediately, and this was like a long time ago. Like, I want to say like in like 2006 they broke up. And then immediately, he falls in love with Gisele Bündchen, right? And ends up marrying her. And they have a kid together, whatever. But as soon as he breaks up with Bridget Moynihan and goes on with Gisele, and from all accounts it seems to be like a mutual kind of breakup, like they just broke up. And then after he goes to Gisele, Bridget finds out that she's pregnant with Tom Brady's child. So they do have a child together. I think he's a teenager now. Bridget Moynihan is married. Tom Brady's been married to Gisele Bündchen forever. Everything's fine, you would think, but what kills me, what must kill Bridget Moynihan herself, unless she's the one kind of plotting this publicity, is every time Tom Brady goes to the Super Bowl, which is, let's face it, every freaking year, every time he goes to a Super Bowl to win another championship, another ring, they always ask, there's always that obligatory interview with Moynihan, and they're like, oh, how do you feel about your ex, going to the Super Bowl? She's like, I don't give a shit. He's Tom Brady. That's what he does. And yeah, we're cool, and it's fine, and blah, blah, blah. Like, what do you expect me to say? The same answer I gave last year and the year before that, like, that is like her curse in life. I always call it, just like I said, the Moynihan check-in, and I look for it every time Tom Brady gets to another Super Bowl, because I'm telling you, look for it. That train is never late. There's always some idiot just asking her about her ex. But after that scene, we see Carrie on the phone again with Charlotte. Charlotte's in her bathroom, and Harry is going in there and taking a piss. A long piss. Actually, a pretty, I guess, normal piss. I don't know. I don't time men's pisses, but that said, I'm going to say something right here. They killed off big. Okay? Danny and Anthony, they're going away, right? Steve is obviously going to be a single man soon, or a cheated on man soon. I don't know, but Steve is going to get messed with. please, 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 oh writers, oh producers of, and just like that, please, Patrick Michael King, everybody involved, please do not fuck with Harry, okay? I love Harry. Harry is perfect. His only crimes, apparently, are peeing for too long a period of time or touching the walls, okay? Otherwise, this guy has been an exemplary husband and father. Please don't mess him up. Please, I get you want to recreate the 90s or the early aughts magic of all these single ladies. They don't all have to be single, okay? Let's keep Charlotte happily married. I'm begging you, don't fuck with Harry. Cut to a bunch of walking scenes now. Carrie's walking around all of Manhattan in the highest heels possible that she calls her sneakers. I mean, God bless you. I can't even imagine. Oh, my knees hurt just even thinking about that, especially on that concrete and like cobblestones and stuff that she's like, tripping all over. Well, she won't. She's just totally graceful. Me, I'd be like on my face every 5 minutes. But what is Charlotte walking around with? Again, third bag. We gotta talk about the bags. She keeps her dog's poop bags in a Burberry. She has a Burberry poop bag dispenser. Like, holy crap, that is how you are privileged, okay? Love it. After that, we have Carrie and Natasha finally having their sit down, basically because Carrie got injured. It has a real nice symmetry from the time that, Natasha caught Carrie cheating on her with Big, and Carrie brings her to the hospital, even though they're really angry at each other, or really upset. They still, there's that, let's be a decent human being and take care of one another. So I guess thankfully Carrie's hand got burned. Otherwise, Natasha wouldn't talk to her at all. But Natasha, if you don't want that $1 million, send it over to me, okay? I'm not so mad at Big or anybody's exes not to accept $1 million. Moving along, the girls are now at Che's Netflix stand-up special recording. It's a pretty good set, I guess. It's uplifting, it's, positivity and all that stuff. And a little funny here and there. But Miranda clearly is already in love with this chick. Like, you can tell. Like, oh, Carrie, I caught your, your podcast. All of a sudden, she's missed podcast. And she's like, oh my God, girl, stop talking. You're missing this. And, then she calls, like, Che a prophet. Like, really? Like, a prophet? Okay. But now it's clearly quite obvious that Miranda wants to Abu Dhabi do Che. And, good for her. Going for someone much younger. Gotta keep it spicy somewhere. I mean, when the chia seeds aren't cutting it. But that shotgun scene, if there was any hesitation or doubt, it's very clear. And it's going to be interesting to see, like, does she leave Steve to pursue other interests, or does she just sort of do a revenge cheat, Maybe it's time, Steve cheated on her. But again, that's what kills me, is like Steve is now so sexless. Like, Steve was always kind of a guy who, dated a bunch of girls, never had problems in that area, cheated on Miranda when she didn't give him sex for 6 months, and now he's fine with this lifestyle. Do you think maybe Steve's getting some on the side? I'm kind of curious because I know that hormonal shifts happen in men, and he did have testicular cancer. I don't know if that has any effect or implication. I just think it's kind of a sad turn for that couple. I was rooting for them. I was hoping for the best, but I think it's going to be kind of a broken home situation. And as compelling as the storyline is, it's a bummer. It's a bummer. Don't be like cheating on, be breaking up homes over, these sort of thoughts. I know people do, and they sometimes have to, but it sucks. It sucks when you see a home broken, and I don't like to see it in slow motion, no matter the circumstances. But I do think that we're going to see Miranda's alcoholism morph into some sort of weird pot addiction. That might be interesting. And by the way, I think that might be healthier. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. But of course, we end this episode with Carrie walking back to her own apartment that they've always kept versus hers and Big's apartment. So now we can really start to get into the whole Sex and the City thing. I think they might have one more episode of grieving and just transition of selling the old place and getting into the new place. But I think after next episode, the 4th episode, I think they're really trying to set this up to really be the original Sex and the City. And I think maybe Charlotte's friend or somebody is going to start having to take over Samantha's old spot. Unfortunately, Willie Garson can't do that. So maybe one of these ladies' new friends can fill that role. We shall see. But otherwise, I think I'm going to talk to you guys next week, and let me know what you think in the comments, okay? Have a good one.